Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How you doing tonight?
Oh, man. Leon Draisaitl scored 4 goals, and the Oilers still lost.
Hard to believe, eh? 2 nights
it
in a row.
is.
I could count the number of games in my life. Like I couldn't individually, but I would bet you any money of all the many 4-goal games I've seen in my life. You could count on one hand the number where that team lost the game. Happened last night, happened tonight. Last night it was Joe Pavelski who was the hero for Dallas with 4 goals, and they lost 5-4 in overtime. And Draisaitl got the 4 for the Oilers tonight, and they lost 6-4 in regulation, which, by the way, is their first regulation loss since March 10th. That's would be too harsh on them. It's been 21 games since a team beat them in regulation. And I would make the case that the team that beat them tonight was the Edmonton Oilers. But
they earned this one themselves. You know, after the game, Dallas Eakins was giving a lot of credit to the Vegas defense. I also did note how aggressive it was and fundamentally sound. And I also did notice at times the Vegas forecheck taking over. So Vegas is a really strong opponent. I felt like I picked the Oilers in 5 over the Kings, but the Oilers in 6 over Vegas. So I guess I felt going in that they would be a tougher opponent than LA just because they can score. They have more ability to score goals, manufacture goals, and their defense is better. Yeah, anyway, but as you say, Bruce, I agree with you. The Oilers lost this one. They gave it away with really bad mistakes, just a number of really bad mistakes defensively. It comes down to that, like just some really terrible plays on defense and it's not just a few players, it's a lot of players.
Yep.
So
what were the grade A's tonight?
12-10 for Edmonton, 12 grade A's for Edmonton, 10 for Vegas, and they scored 5 goals on 10 grade A shots. Vegas did have the edge in 5 alarm shots, the subset of 33 percenters, 8-6. So Stuart Skinner did make some fantastic saves, just not enough of them. I thought he looked sharp at times, but man, he just needs to just make one more save, and this game might turn out differently. It's not really on him though, this loss, so much as on the mistakes of his other players on the ice. I think it's fair to say. Bruce, we'll go with this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Because it's a Oilers loss, we'll go with 2 bad things each. But what's your good thing? What are you going to start it off? Well, the obvious, I guess.
Yeah, well, what else? I mean, I'm going to go with Leon Draisaitl, who scored all 4 goals for the Edmonton Oilers in this game. 2 in the first period, 2 in the third, 2 on the power play, 2 at even strength. And he did almost everything in his power to win this game. He only had 5 shots on net, but 4 of them found the twine, a couple of executioner shots, and a very nifty shot from below the goal line that he bounced off of Laurent Brossois' name bar and in with 10 seconds left in what had been a pretty dreadful first period that sent Oilers into the locker room down just 3-2. And also he had anyways, he was the guy driving the bus on offense. How many grade A shots was he involved in himself? Did you?
Well, yeah, I have the total. Give me 1 second, Bruce. I will tell you in a second because the game grades are up. Leon Draisaitl. You know what? He was involved in 6 grade A shots. Oh. 3 at even strength and 3 on the power play. So he manufactured a lot of goals on his 6 major contributions. He was also tagged with 4 major mistakes on grade A shots against. So I couldn't give him a perfect game. I couldn't give him a 10 on this one because he made some pretty major mistakes in the defensive slot throughout the game. It wasn't like his last game, his near perfect game.
Right.
But Bruce, we've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. That executioner shot is amazing. And I just thought when he got off that first shot, I thought on the power play, first power play they score. I just thought, okay, the Oilers are rolling. They're gonna
Yeah.
roll in this game. And then a major mistake, which we're going to get to later, I think changed the tone of the game. And just one thing led to another. I don't know if that major mistake hadn't happened, if we would have seen this outcome, but it just got the Oilers rolling in the wrong direction. Anyway, I agree with you. Just, what a fantastic attacking hockey player Leon Draisaitl is. He's just at the peak of his powers.
Yeah.
My good thing. I thought I could go with Connor McDavid. As the game went on, he just got super determined. And he, in the third period, he was unrelenting in his efforts to win this game, almost single-handedly at that point, like with his partner Draisaitl, charging the net repeatedly. He put one off the post. He was fantastic. But I'm going to go with Mattias Ekholm, who I thought was the Oilers' steadiest and most effective D-man by a country mile in this one. And he got 2 assists. He won a battle leading up to Draisaitl's second goal. The second goal was the one that Draisaitl put in off Laurent Brossoit's back.
Mm-hmm.
And McDavid started that one off with this great cross seam, and then Ekholm won a battle and got it to Hyman down to Draisaitl, and Draisaitl put it in. So that was his first one of his strong plays. He also made a fantastic stretch pass to McDavid on Draisaitl's fourth goal, and that was also an executioner shot where they came charging up the ice. And then just a moment later, he made another great pass up the ice to send in, and McDavid went in and almost scored. It was probably Edmonton's best chance after the fourth goal to score. Although Nurse's chance right near the end of the game was also good when Nurse came right in on net. But McDavid's a much more dangerous goal scorer, and he went right into the slot off Ekholm's pass. I just think he's showing he's not perfect. He was one of the group that abandoned that made just major mistakes as with about 5 or 6 minutes left when Vegas got a 2-on-0 in front of the net and Carrier passed to Marcia Show. But other than that mistake, Bruce, he's playing a steadier game on defense than any other Oilers defenseman right now. Maybe Kulak's in a similar category. They're both doing really well. Ekholm faces tougher competition though.
Yep.
And he's
More
just steady.
Too.
Yeah, he's got a much harder job, but he's really moving the puck well. He's really defending well. He's been the Oilers' best defenseman, I think, in the playoffs. And tonight was maybe his best game of the playoffs, but his teammates didn't rise to that same level. Your first bad thing, Bruce.
Yeah. I hate to do this again because this guy remains one of my favorites, but I'm starting to become despondent that it's not working for him this postseason. That's Vincent Desharnais, who had another very tough night tonight, and he had a tough time really throughout the Kings series. Yeah. And tonight he made what we deem major mistakes on 3 Vegas goals.
Yeah.
And first one being just 40 seconds after Edmonton took the lead on a shift that was just a nothing shift. And this was a problem all night, nothing shifts turning into goals for Vegas. And this was one where he collected the puck. He came out from behind the left side of his net. He had a forward on the sidewall. He had the boards to use a little ring around pass to him, but he tried to go straight to the guy, whoever the left winger was. I can't even remember. Was it Costin or was it
Kane? Maybe I can't even remember.
On the ice. Yeah, Kane was on the ice. It would have been him. And he shot it basically into the shin pads of the Vegas forward, who was coming in to check him. And because he didn't take the safe route with the puck, it got coughed up right in the slot. Chaos ensued, and finally, puck came out a little ways out, and Ivan Barbashev absolutely buried shot from the slot, and just as a result of the chaos, it took 2 or 3 seconds after the turnover for the actual goal scoring shot to go in, but the Oilers never had a semblance of control of that chaos. And 40 seconds, that was the only lead of the game, and it was just gone in 40 seconds. This happened in the LA series as well, where they had a game where they had a lead for 18 seconds in the entire game. Anyway, this was uh, his his certainly was the major mistake on the play. I think it might have been the only one we called on that one. Uh, then on the 3-1 goal, let's bring that one up. That was the shorthanded, the power play goal for Vegas.
Yeah.
And this was a play where Draisaitl and McLeod went in 2-on-1 at the other end of the ice. Leon fed it over to McLeod, and he completely whiffed on it. And then McLeod was part of the problem on the goal, but he was Desharnais was the first Oiler back to the puck, and he had a chance to move the puck around the boards. I mean, there was pressure, and he never even touched the puck, and eventually he lost that battle, and the puck got dug out, and that led to a goal against. And then the last one was the 4-3 goal. And again, a killer, like a minute after Edmonton tied it up, like the very next shift again, just like after the 1-0 goal. And this was a kind of a weird play where Desharnais got kind of sucked out of position, covering a guy, and he decided to stick with this guy. I saw this play 2 or 3 times during the regular season, and I commented on it here at least once, where he's following a guy and he follows him into the high slot, and then he never collapses back, but he stays out of position and hopes someone else does his job. Well, in this case, he was playing left wing. Ryan McLeod, one of the, I don't know how to put this, but was the guy that was left basically covering the net shot as net front as the last defenseman back. And he did a poor job of it, and he just let Ivan Barbashev get behind him and tip home the point shot. But I mean, when your right defenseman is playing left wing and your center is playing right defense for seconds on end, chances are pretty good you've done something wrong in the build-up to that. And neither of them responded well to their temporary new positions, and boom.
Nuge also slipped
Nuge
on
let
that
in
play.
the outside shot.
Yeah, he slipped and let in the outside shot. Man, Nuge. Anyway, Bruce, the first goal especially was brutal because it just changed the tone of the game, the complexion of the game. It was a completely unforced error. He wasn't under a lot of pressure. He had an easy play to make up the boards, and he just gave it right away in the defensive slot. And there's no recovering. Like, there's little recovering off a turnover like that. Players are scrambling, and there's little anyone can do at that point. And I just wonder if this is one of those moments when it's time for Jay Woodcroft to make a coaching adjustment. I think it is. I think we've seen 2 or 3. Like, this was a super iffy game. I think he might have graded a 1 on the
one. Gave him a 1 in Game 4 when
he was
burned for 3 goals in the first period of that game, and then he got benched. So he had no comeback, right?
Yeah, I gave him a 2 in this one. And I just think Philip Broberg might be the better bet. I'm not sure about that. And they will miss Desharnais on the penalty kill. If they don't, they could keep him, and they could keep going 11-7 though if they want. It might not be a good idea to do so. Just to match Vegas's tempo of their 4 lines. The Oilers might actually need 4 lines right now. And they got burnt tonight was when Janmark went out. Then they were down to 10 forwards, of course. But yeah, that first goal against Bruce, it was just like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was so disheartening after Draisaitl's great goal. And the mistake in the corner leading to the next goal wasn't as bad, but the play on the 4th goal, I understand like the idea of sticking with a man in the defensive zone, but at some point And we don't really know for sure the Oilers system. Maybe the system is like when you're on a guy, stay with the guy, right? Maybe he's just following orders completely on that play. It could be that, Bruce. But
Yeah.
I do think it's because I've also seen this. I know I have seen this. At some point, the defenseman say, "Okay, enough." Like this is the guy I'm
Shift
covering
up.
is
Yeah.
over on the boards. He's not a threat to score. He's not doing anything. I'm gonna now go back to my position, switch out to my position, back to the defense, back to cover the net. And I think if Darharnay had done that after the first attempted outside shot, there might not have been a goal because he would have been on that player. McLeod just let him go. And I think Darharnay, that's one of his strengths. He would have been on the player or he would have blocked the shot. He, might not have gone in, but it was like three steamboats too long out of position. And that's why maybe it was just one steamboat. It wasn't long, but it was enough that he made I think a weak decision. And again, in saying that, I'm not completely sure of the Oilers' defensive system. And there's probably some judgment calls to be made by the players within that system as well. But it just felt wrong, and it looked wrong for him to be out there and not moving back into the defensive slot. Because I'm sure all season long I've seen defenders leave the player if he's not in a scoring position to go cover the house, man. Go cover the defensive slot. This is what I complained about. I think maybe you a little bit less all series against the Kings. Whenever the Oilers abandon the defensive slot, especially with their defensemen, they run into this kind of trouble. And this brings me to my first bad thing, which was the second goal against. And this is Cody Ceci has the puck at the point. He gets the puck into in the offensive end, and he puts it into the slot where it's picked off. Now, Cody Ceci, he did his job in getting the puck deep enough, and it's essentially, for a second, it's kind of a 3-on-2, but Leon Draisaitl is cruising back hard initially, and it's a 3-on-3. But when it's still a 3-on-2 kind of moment, Darnell Nurse decides to charge up the ice when he doesn't really have a strong play on the puck. Because I was thinking, well, if he has a strong play on the puck, you do want to try to break it up, but he didn't. When you look at it again, it was it wasn't a 50-50 play for Darnell. It was like a 30-70 play or a 20-80 play, winning that puck battle at center ice. So he charges up the ice, and then he's out of position. And it still might not be a goal, but Leon Draisaitl kind of stops skating on his back check and is just a hair behind picking off that pass. He just didn't follow through. He didn't go cover that guy. He didn't get on the guy. I think the shooter was a Modio, if I'm not mistaken, on that one. And he just didn't get on him. And so the two, again, assistant captains of the team with mental errors, essentially. Draisaitl giving up on the back check. Darnell Nurse getting out of position again, making a risky play when he didn't need to make a risky play. If he had just hung back, Leon was charging back, and it would have been a 3-on-3 rush. But he made it into a much more just dangerous situation than he needed to. And again, we saw this earlier in the Kings series with Nurse. Now, the difference in this game was that was Darnell Nurse's only major mistake that I saw. I thought he really battled hard this game. He led the team with 7 shots. He had 6 hits. So he was in the trenches battling hard all game long, and I gave him a 6 in the game because I would have 7 otherwise. I thought he had a good game, except for that one play. But that one play and that one moment, it's just this moment. It happens. Yep. Boom, you're done. That's how brittle hockey is. And the cost is large for the small mistake. And man, that is the story of this game. Small mistakes.
Yeah. Most of them were, like I say, there were nothing plays. And then all of a sudden there's some Vegas guy with the puck in the slot, and boom.
Even that one, that one was kind of it wasn't that dangerous a play.
It looked like a 3-on-3. And then,
yeah. Okay, what's your second bad
Nurse
thing?
came closest of any Oiler to tying it in the late going, too, with a really good chance on a partial breakaway. Yeah. And then they couldn't get a damn whistle for the 5 minutes straight. The play was, I was saying to my wife that they should intentionally go offside just to get a whistle, get the TV timeout. That never happened, really. Then they've got another timeout, And by the time they got the whistle, they got it in the worst way possible by taking an insane too many men in the ice penalty with a minute to go, and
That
that was
that
that.
was Darnell. That was actually Darnell.
Well,
Who got out on the
whatever it
ice too
was.
early. He did, Bruce. I mean, that's what the
Yeah.
replay shows.
Well, there's a rule for when they pull the goalie that if the guy comes out too early, they just blow the whistle and have a face-off with center ice for early substitution for the goalkeeper. It's a very specific rule. I didn't call that anyway, but
But it wasn't for the goalie. It was
whatever.
for Ekholm
It was,
coming off.
yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Okay.
So,
Okay. What is your second bad thing, Amundo, Bruce?
yeah, well, I'm going to single out. Uh, I mean, I've already kind of had my say about the bad goals right after Oilers goals. First one, 40 seconds. Second one, 61 seconds, followed by another one, 50 seconds after that. So they tied it, and then they were within 2 minutes down by two. Anyway, instead, I'm just going to single out the guy that's been really disappointing to me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Another one of my favorite players. And he had a great season, and all season long we were talking, praising about how he was getting in there and winning a lot of battles. And I, if he won a battle in this game? I'm not sure I saw it.
He did. There was a play in the corner where he bodied, I think it was Marchessault off the puck hard
Oh yeah,
and won the puck.
Okay, well then there's one. What I can tell you for sure is he had 0 shots on goal in a kind of a loosey-goosey, wide-open game. Playing with pretty good line mates. I started the game playing with the boys, and he played. His most frequent line mates were Kane, Yamamoto, Hyman, McDavid. Those are pretty good players, and just couldn't really generate anything. I don't know if he was in on grade A shots. Maybe he did something away from the puck or something. He was okay on the penalty kill, but I just think there's just a lot more for that player to give, and we're just not seeing it right now. And he was
not.
far from. What's that?
We are not. I'm agreeing with you. I'm giving you
Right.
an amen there, Bruce. Like he's just, what is wrong with him, man? Like he is not effectual. He is the opposite of effectual. And it's a little bit disheartening. Because we've seen him fade at other times and even strengthen other seasons, and he got it going this year. He's got to find a way.
He's got to find that magic going again. Anyway, he was hardly alone among the forwards. All of Warren Fogle, Kyler Yamamoto, and Ryan McLeod had 0 shots on net, as did Nugent Hopkins, but in 20 minutes of ice time, and just didn't seem to have the play. Like the Oilers got outshot 7-4, outscored 1-0 when he was on the ice. They just lost his part of the game, and part of the reason was he didn't have a good game.
My second bad thing is I could go with the fourth goal against. You see, I'm sneaking in extra bad things here. Evan Bouchard came on the ice and was way out of the play. He just was in the what we call the red light, the fifth goal, you're right. The red light zone, where he's not covering anyone, he's not covering the passing lane, he's not covering a shot. And so the Vegas player is wide open for a shot. And again, it's another nothing freaking play. It turns into a goal. That is very frustrating, Bruce. But I will go with this instead. Derek Ryan's absence was a really bad thing. And it is funny to say that, right? Because maybe it's not at this point, considering the last 40 games in the playoffs that guy has had. Bob Stauffer was suggesting in Oilers now that Derek Ryan has definitely earned another contract for next year. I'd agree with that. He has been playing, and it's like the Oilers lost their brain, because he is such a smart hockey player.
Sure is.
He just is in the right spot at the right time, making the right play consistently. And with him on a checking line, I think it's a different team. Like with him on that third line. He makes it go. He makes it smart, and just the Oilers just played. Let's face it, they played dumb hockey tonight, and it cost them the game. And you lose maybe one of your smartest hockey IQ players. I mean, there's lots of really smart hockey IQ players on the Oilers, many of them, but Ryan certainly is one of them, and his absence was felt. So he was out with sickness, I guess. Hopefully it's
Mm-hmm.
short term, short lived, and he'll be right back at it. Fortunately, there's an extra day off, I guess, between the next game and this game. It's not till Saturday, so that benefits the Oilers probably with Ryan being sick, and he'll definitely be back in. Poor Matthias Janmark, who went in for him, took a weird fall into the boards, similar to a fall I took while public skating earlier this year, 8 months ago, and my shoulder still is sprained, partially
Mm-hmm.
sprained because of it. I hope he's. I don't think it was the shoulder. It looked like it
It
was
was
his
the back
head.
of his head.
Yeah, concussion maybe, and he looked really woozy. So that was very frightening and an extremely tough play.
It was
So
so weird. Yeah, it looked like he stumbled. It looked like he regained his balance, and all of a sudden he just launched. Caught a rut, maybe, I don't know, and he just launched and went
yeah,
flying completely out of control into the boards. And it's all 17,000 or whatever fans were saying, blow the whistle, it seemed like. And everybody noticed it, but the refs, I think TD Force actually ran out onto the ice while the play was in progress. I mean, the player hits his head, stop the game, right? Stop the game. If the guy hit his head in the game, then that's don't wait for. I mean, Oilers even had the puck during some of that time, and anyway, I don't suppose it mattered in the end that it was 5 seconds late getting to him, but it could matter.
yeah, it was just one of the many.
And anyway, Ryan, which I'm not sure if it was made clear on the broadcast because I missed some of the commentary because I'm always going back and reviewing scoring chances, that Ryan was ill. He missed the morning skate and then he missed the game. But
Yeah,
it was an illness, it's not an injury. And hopefully it's one of those 24-hour jobs that he's back because they're going to need him on Saturday, especially if Janmark is out, which he may well be.
Bruce, your number.
My number is 39 and 7. And the 7 is the 7 straight games the Oilers have lost in Game 1 of playoff series, which covers the entirety of the Ken Holland reign here in Edmonton with a couple of different coaches. Uh, they lost 6-4 in a defensive mess to Chicago in Game 1 during the bubble play-ins of 2020. They lost 4-1 to Winnipeg in Game 1 in 2021. Couple empty net goals. That wasn't a terrible defensive game. They just couldn't score that time. Last year, they lost 4-3 in the first game to Los Angeles in a sloppy game. They lost 9-6 in Game 1 to Calgary last year, where they scored 6 goals and didn't even come close to winning that game. Another defensive crap show, start to finish, that one. They lost 6-5 in the first game to Colorado, in a game where they kept scoring to get themselves back in the game, but they couldn't keep them out of their own net. And now this year they've lost 4-3 in the first series against LA, and now 6-4 in the first game against Vegas. So, that's 7 straight games won where they've given up at least 4 goals in every game. Well, you want to know why they lost those games? Because they gave up at least 4 goals in every game. And the goals that they scored, which, let me do the math here, that's 4, and 1 is 5, and 3 is 8, and 6 is 14, and 5 is 19, and 3 is 22, and 4 is 26 goals in 7 games. You should be able to win at least one of those games. You're averaging 4 goals a game, but your defense is such crap that you're not coming away with any results. It's like they have to lose a game to sort of get their attention. Say, oh, maybe we should try checking these guys and getting the puck out of our own end, making some saves, some of these sort of things that generally hockey teams do. Well, whatever happens in Game 1, the Oilers stink at it because they've lost 7 straight. And by a combined score of 39-27, right? 66 total goals, almost 10 per game. just never have come out and played a controlled first game, whether it's in their barn or somebody else's, as in this case. And so that's my number.
I'm not sure in this entire playoffs yet, Bruce. They beat LA, but I'm not sure they've yet found their A game, the Oilers.
For a period or two here and there, I would
Yeah,
say.
but
I
they
don't
haven't
think they've
played.
played a full 60.
They have not, and they've got to find that in this series.
Game 2 would be a good plan.
Game 2, next game would be a nice moment to find it, and we'll find out if they do. But they certainly have to find it in this series. It's time.
The Oilers are 3-6 in those series. They're 3 out of 4 under Jay Woodcroft, where they lost game 1 and still came back to win the series.
Sure.
But in all the cases where they had any success at all, they won game 2. And so that's what they need.
Bruce, my number is around Leon Draisaitl's incredible one-timer shooting. And so we've been tracking actually the type of shots for 4 years now. Before, we just used to track whether it was a grade A shot or not. And since that time, we've started to see if it's a tip or a regular shot or a jam shot or a one-timer shot. And we started this particular aspect of our scoring grade A shot project because of Leon Draisaitl. We wanted to find out, is his scoring sustainable? You know, can he keep shooting in pucks at a high level? And what is his scoring rate on these one-timer shots? Because generally he shoots about a 20% range on all his shots. But his one-timer shots, so we've been tracking it for 4 years now, and in that time he's played 319 games, and he has fired off a total of 247 one-timer shots in those games on net. There's been more that have been off net, but on net, 247 in 319 games. So 0.77 per game, 0.8 per game. And he scored on 36% of them on average, 36%. So this year in the playoffs, in his 7 games, he's had 10 of those shots. So he's at 1.43 one-timers per game, and he's got 6 goals on them. So he's shooting at 60% this playoff season. And so you could say, well, Leon's just having super puck luck, which is how this whole thing started, with this idea that Leon Draisaitl has super puck luck. Mm-hmm. That could be the case, but
5 years later,
5 years later, yeah, you start to wonder, like, there's something about the Oilers' power play. I wonder what that is. There's, about their high success rate. This guy is a machine, and I wouldn't put it past him to go through a playoffs draining half of those one-timer shots. They are so effective. They are so deadly. And he is just so effective at them. Tonight he scored 2 of his 4 goals on those particular kinds of shots. So the 60% man on the executioner shot so far in the playoffs. May he keep up his good work.
Yeah. Well, he's had over the last 5 years now, 50, 43, 31 in the 56 game season, 55 and 52 goals, for a total of 231 goals in 369 games. Basically 50 goals a year. If they played the full years, he would easily have that. And his shooting percentages have been 21.6, 19.7, 18.5, 19.8, 21.1 for a net 20.2% over a 5-year span. Now, I would make the case that has proven to be sustainable. Even if you look at the first year of that and you say, well, he's not going to do that again. It's true. He's never quite got to 21.6 again, but he's been right around it, just under it every year since. And it's become very consistent. He takes very high percentage shots. He doesn't waste outside shots. And when he does get dangerous ones in close, his chance of finishing the job is very high indeed.
One interesting thing though, Bruce, I would suggest that like some of the guys who have high shooting percentages are those guys who play right in front of the net, like Thomas Holmstrom in the past, or Zach Hyman. I don't know what his shooting percentage was this year, but he might be that style of player at least. because they're just right there. All their shots come from right there. But Draisaitl does take a lot of outside shots from good distance, and he still has. So his overall shooting percentage in the playoffs this year, and then on the one-timers again, it's 60%. So he's having quite a run. Well, Bruce, I guess we can hope for better things. We will hope for better things in the next game. Do you have any thoughts on line? Let's say everyone's healthy.
Here's my hope for better things. I hope for better things from the Vegas Golden Knights than this. Here are the 3 stars from tonight's game, as announced and awarded by the VGK Media. Boy, I wonder who they're rooting for. David, first star. Ivan Barbashev from VGK, who had a very fine game with 2 goals. Second star, Chandler Stevenson of VGK, who also had a fine game. Third star, Mark Stone of VGK. Seriously, all 3 stars were Vegas Golden Knights on a night that one of their opponents scored 4 goals. Hello. I mean, show a little bit of integrity there, people. I mean, seriously, that's just embarrassing.
We could be upset about that, or we could give them applause for a brilliant troll job, Bruce.
Well, it's a troll. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm enough of a traditionalist. Yeah, I care about stupid shit like the 3 stars and game-winning goals and goalie wins and plus minus, all of it, right? So,
yeah.
And who wins the Lady Byng? All of it. It's just part of the narrative of the game. But geez, I mean, pay it a little bit of respect. Pay your opponents a little bit of respect. I mean, that's just sad. Yes, I know it means nothing, but it's still sad.
Indeed, it is. I'm not that sad, but maybe I'm not as traditional as you are on these matters.
Oh, Molson Cup, man, that's a big deal. You gotta give these guys their points when they earn them. I mean, if you say a guy scored 4 and he didn't earn them because his team lost, I mean,
do they still call it the Molson Cup? Is it still awarded?
They still have a Molson Cup in the Canadian cities during the season. Every month, I was at a couple of them this year. Every month, they give out the little trophy and they award $1,000 to the charity of the guy's choice.
I remember that, yeah.
And it's been since '79.
Well,
Gretzky used to win it every single month. He'd just pack up the 3-star awards and just run away with it. But anyway, and they counted home and road games in terms of the 3 stars. But I guess there used to be more integrity to the process than there remains in the 2020s, when it's all about the home team and not the hockey game.
We shall see what happens next, Bruce. The Oilers have obviously got to tighten it up on defense. I personally would go with 12 forwards and 60, and I would sit to Harney next game. Stick with Stu Skinner in net and see what happens.
Yeah, well, one thing we know is that the coaching staff is now well armed with some instructional video material that they can employ over the next 3 days to get the attention of some of their players, because there were some pretty fundamental mistakes being made in this game. And this was a game, enough goals were scored to comfortably win this game. And they blew it by inattention to detail, and that's just not really acceptable. And I'm sure that they will hear that in no uncertain terms behind closed doors. Woody will come out and he'll smile and do his thing in front of the media, but they're going to get the gears and they're going to deserve it tomorrow. I mean, if you want to win this series, you got to play a hell of a lot more disciplined and smart than they showed tonight, and they can. We've seen it. They will, I think, come back, but they got a ways to go based on that showing.
Indeed. Bruce, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.